Hey, it's Todd Gross from FaceSwap, and I want to show you just a couple of best practices that you can do so that you don't run into trouble inside FaceSwap. Very, very easy to use software, no question about it. However, I do want to show you things that could trip you up if you don't know what to look for. So first of all, let's practice videos first. So we're going to go in and we'll browse for a video. I'll just take anything that's right inside that I have, and it's going to load it up, and then I will show you some of the little quirks. So the first thing is, if you have trouble loading your video, if that did not load just now, then there's a couple of reasons. The most likely reason is that it was too large a file. It was a really high res file that hadn't been reduced in size, maybe 200 megabytes or something like that. So you could always run it through Handbrake if it is a really large file and shrink it down. Handbrake is a free app that you get off the web, and it's very, very easy to shrink big video files down so that then you could import it in. But most videos you won't have trouble importing in. MP4 files usually always load into FaceSwap. That's number one. The other thing is, if you get an error that says face not detected, same thing. It could be that your video is just too heavy, and you'll want to run it through Handbrake first. Second thing, if you get error in video render, that's error in video render, it means that the faces that you're trying to swap in are perhaps too tight. In other words, all the ones that we provide in the database are good. They all have some room around the face. Like this one in particular, you can see there's white all the way around the face. If you use My Faces tab on the right and import a face that is too tight, that's filling up too much of this circle, then you may run into some trouble. So don't try to load a face in that's really, really close up. You know, you want to at least have a little bit of room around the face. Even this one right here is getting a little close. Like if the forehead was cut off right here, you may have gotten an error that said error in video render later on when you go to render it. Third thing, and this is really fun, is after you put your title in, right here, I'll just put title, title in here. Okay, after that, then you have a choice depending on your level of membership. You could either render these out in standard quality, or if you qualify, you can, of course, use high quality, and then you can take it even one step farther, and you could press this, render in ultra high definition. So you could either render it in high quality, you could render it in standard quality, or you could even render it in ultra high def. And that is important to know depending on your level of membership. But it's a little bit different in images. All right, so let's load in an image. Now this is a picture of Peter Beattie. Now notice that the red box surrounds his face. Okay, so what I want to show you in images is that if this was any closer, it may detect his eye as a face or another part of his face as a separate face, because you could also pull in multiple images, multiple people, and it's trying to recognize multiple faces. So don't have the image too close, and certainly don't have it so far back that it won't be able to work on it. You know, have it kind of in between, anywhere from this on back. So that's one thing to consider with images. The other thing is the rendering's different. You could render it in standard quality or high quality as before, but there's also something called deep mode. Now, deep mode is specific for images. We don't have that in videos. What it does is it changes the image to look a heck of a lot like the one you're swapping in. Now, if you pick a face that's very similar to the original, so there's not many here that are similar to Peter Beattie, to be quite honest, but if you were to pick a face that is fairly similar to the original, it will look like the spitting image of what you're trying to swap in. So that's what deep mode is. It changes it between 60 and 90% roughly towards the image that you're bringing in. So for instance, and I'm not saying you should do this unless you have permission, but for instance, if you had a celebrity picture, you can actually pick the celebrity. Instead of this guy here, it would be the celebrity, and you could make Peter look just like the celebrity in a deep fake, or very close to that celebrity if it was a similar face to begin with. If it wasn't a similar face to begin with, it will kind of be halfway in between. So keep that in mind. So that's what I want to show you there. You don't have that deep mode option, by the way, if you do multiple faces at one time. Now, there's a lot of other tips on the document that I made for you to read, and it's not long, and I really suggest you read it before you call support if you do run into any issues, because there's a lot there that I put down that I ran into in testing this over the past several weeks. Things have changed a little bit because it's constantly being improved as well, but I tried to make it as up-to-date as possible. So certainly read the best use document that I put together for even more tips.